Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to very warm welcome you to the China-Europe Finance Summit. My fellow speakers and the organization team here at the great campus of the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management in Frankfurt, and all of you in front of the screens around the world. I'm honored that Mr. WANG Weidong, Minister of the People's Republic of China's Embassy in Berlin, and Dr. Eva Wimmer, Director General at the German Federal Ministry of Finance, join us today with their speeches. My thanks go to the Frankfurt School and its president, Professor Niels Stieglitz, as well as the Sino-German Center under the direction of Professor Dr. Horst Löchel, which today provide the ideal infrastructural framework for our exchange of views. A big thank you also to our partner, Dr. Maleki, whose team provides you with the streaming pictures of today's summit. Conferences are usually live from the atmosphere as well as from the content. You let your eyes wander through the crowd and also check a little bit what kind of crowd you are in. Today, we are under different circumstances. The rising numbers of the COVID-19 infections are leaving their mark on our daily lives, including this now online-only conference. Nevertheless, we shall not be in despair, but look with confidence into the future. The great interest of hundreds of registrations for today's summit is a positive signal. Many thanks to you all. The very positive response to this conference shows us two things. First, public interest in Sino-European relations has increased enormously, with economic issues being at least as important as political ones. Second, despite differing opinions on specific matters, a new basic consensus seems to be emerging. We want China-Europe relations to be stronger. Even in the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic and the current geopolitical tensions, I am firmly convinced that at the end of this sometimes challenging process, we will find viable solutions for all. The pandemic has shown how urgently cooperative solutions are needed. We must continue to trust the logic of cooperation to further develop a framework that builds bridges between economic powerhouses and creates fruitful business opportunities. With the need in order to achieve this is dialogue, courage, decisions. A dialogue at eye level without unilateral demands. Courage to confidently represent one's own positions and interest, and political decisions that provide legal and planning security. In this situation, the finalization of the EU-China Comprehensive Agreement on Investment becomes even more important. After all, entrepreneurial decisions cannot be delayed long while waiting for political decisions, as we know from many conversations with our partners and customers, both in China and Europe. After all, we see that the will for dialogue and the reconciliation of interest is stable. And in these times, that in itself is a good thing. We know what we are talking about. Multilateralism is in a sense the core and defining feature of any exchange, and that of SINEX in particular, as a bridge between capital markets in China and Germany in support of the strong economic cooperation between the two countries. China's accelerating capital markets opening and reform have offered global investors and financial institutions great opportunities. The Financial Center Frankfurt and SINEX have already done some pioneering work for the effective networking of the capital markets in China and Europe. 2 years ago, the world's largest home appliance manufacturer, Haier Smart Home, was the first Chinese company with fully fledged shares in the company to come onto the Frankfurt trading floor. Frankfurt is already the leading trading place in the EU for ETFs relating to mainland China. In the bond sector, Frankfurt is one of the few trading places in the world where China-related bonds are traded in euros, dollars, and renminbi. We also earned the support to launch A-share index derivatives in the joint statement of the second China-Germany high-level financial dialogue. Looking ahead, currencies, or more precisely, digital currencies, are an area where we may be particularly worthwhile to intensify the exchange of ideas between Chinese and European sides. We will hear the thoughts of Burkhard Balz, member of the executive board of the Bundesbank, on this later today. But when it comes to banking, the capital markets, commodities, experiences from cross-border investments, or the emergence of an innovative fintech ecosystem, we can learn a lot from each other. That is why we have prepared the stage for you with a whole range of top-class experts today. So please lean back, enjoy, participate, and engage in this dialogue, which is crucial for the success of our strong cooperation and a common bright future. So thank you very much.
Lean back and listen. Many thanks, Niels, for your opening and for your ongoing support for Sino-German Center. Dear participants, human life, as we read in the diary of Lai Feng, is limited, but to serve people and the next generation is unlimited. This we do in our Sino-German Center here at Frankfurt School. On a neutral basis, within the academic world, our center serves since 2015 to make the world better, better understandable, better for the future, better for peace and wealth. China, Europe, Financial Summit. Looking at figures, a success story. Looking at daily media comments, a story where the United States, Europe, and China are moving or even drifting apart to protect own capacities and capabilities for their own. We have to stand for openness, economic and academic cooperation. We have to work for it daily. This is SGC's Sino-German Center's vision. And we need, of course, today a strict time management. Now I will welcome the president of Frankfurt School, Professor Dr. Niels Stieglitz. Since April 2018, he is CEO, as to say, of this leading business school in Germany. He was already professor for strategic management from 2012 on here at the school and became vice chairman for corporate development in 2017. Niels, it is yours.
Oh, thank you. Well, so welcome to the conference. I think I'm very, very proud that Frankfurt School today provides a platform for the important discussions. And I think it's more important than ever to think about how policies can support sustainable growth over the coming years. I mean, the COVID-19 pandemic has hit mature economies, developing countries, emerging markets extremely hard. It's put many people out of jobs, out of incomes, many back in poverty. And I think we now have to start to once again focus on economic reconstruction. And economic reconstruction without private enterprise, without open and efficient capital markets is not possible. So I think this is the right time for such a conference, and I think it's a very important topic that we're going to discuss today. And I hope that all of you have a successful conference and an insightful conference today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Stieglitz. We welcome all of us Mr. Wang Weidong, Chief of the Economic and Commercial Department of the Embassy in Berlin since July 2015. He is, so to say, the economic wisdom and experience of China and Germany. And it's quite interesting that for these long years, he is the one whom we could see and talk to whenever we have economic problems between our two countries. Welcome, Mr. Wang Weidong on screen.
My dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm very happy to take part in the 2020 conference today in Frankfurt. I'm in the name of the Chinese embassy. I want to say my warmest congratulations on the event of this conference. Of course, we know we are in a difficult situation right now with the COVID-19, so we have a hybrid conference that's partly offline, partly online. So during this year, since the arrival of the COVID-19, in the whole world we have seen a contraction of the economic activity. Just like the IMF has said, in 2020, we think there was a contraction of about 4.4%. And in this period, China had achieved a growth of 1.9%. So as one of the important countries, this is quite impressive. And we can say we have arrived at 23 trillion renminbi of foreign trade, which means an increase of 0.7%. So if we look at the Chinese statistics, we have realized that in the third quarter of this year, China has achieved, of course, an increase again after the first two periods of this year that, of course, also showed a contraction due to the disease. So the recovery, the comeback, the recovery of the Chinese economy is contributing to the worldwide recovery and comeback of economy, of course. So we think that before the background of this, in the past 8 months of this year, Germany has seen a lowering of the trade figures with the major counterparts like America, England, France, and so on. It was less of maybe 15%. But China was able to achieve positive growth with Germany during that time. So it has now become Germany's biggest export country. So we think that we believe and we hope that China and Germany can, like in the past, still be in their strategic partnership very strong partners that will also push international trade to new heights. Now, if you have one flower doesn't make a spring, that we know. And China is an advocate of globalization and is against protectionism. It is advocating a situation that will bring a win-win situation that will bring mutual benefit to all participants in the worldwide economy. And since this year, the Chinese government has also started lots of cooperations in the field of combating the disease, the new corona lung disease. And so therefore, it has also achieved to give a new platform for optimizing the business environment in China. Chinese people very often says words need to be believed and actions need to have results. So obviously this solemn promise from the Chinese side that the great door of China will continue to open always more is something that will produce, and that has already produced results and will continue to do so. So, for instance, we have the foreign business investment law that is still underway and that we are talking about, that will in a great measure make better. And also we have achieved through lowering of tariffs and through opening up to more imports, there has been, and through the negative list that we have given out for foreign investors. These are all examples of what we do to enable businesses to have a better environment. In September this year, 2020, in China, we had the first event, the first international event for the service industries. It was a great trade fair. This was the first offline, so in real life, that we had after the outbreak of the corona disease. Xi Jinping himself, President Xi Jinping, said that China will continue to open up to the outside world and to establish a very good trade environment and business environment and system for foreign investors in order to push forward trade and economic cooperation. So, of course, the finance industry is an important part of the service industries, and the opening up of China does put special emphasis on the financial business. And China has, in the past, already shown that in several parts like credit reporting, credit rating, or payment clearing, we have already adapted our system to make it more transparent, and also in the realm of tax paying or of transactions, of payment clearings, and so on, of bookkeeping. We are following international practices and going along into that direction. So in this year, there are ever more investors from abroad and institutions that have been able to come into China and take part in the Chinese financial market, the capital market within China, and thereby profit from China's economy that has an extraordinarily fast development, and at the same time, of course, also benefiting the whole world and enabling these financial institutions also to earn more profit. Now, of course, now we are in a crisis due to the corona infectious disease, and every country has to work against it. But at the same time, we also are here seeing quite large problems with protectionism and with countries who are trying to bully others or trying to put themselves in the first place. So this will disrupt the international society. But I think I'm very sad also to point out that in the German-Chinese cooperation in the financial market, there is something that is hindering us since many years. That is that the Germans say that our oversight and regulations of their financial institutions in our countries are not fair, are not just. And this problem, we are talking about this problem and having exchanges since many years, but as up to now, there's still no solution. But we hope that this problem will be sorted out soon, so we can go forward according to the principle of fairness and justness. And therefore, also there will be, for Chinese invested banks, there will be a proper treatment within Germany, a just treatment. So both countries may have a good environment for their common financial and capital market cooperation. Today's conference will see the dialogue and exchange of many experts, and I hope that the platform that we are afforded by this conference will help us to exchange many thoughts, and thereby we'll have more wisdom to be applied in our cooperation in the financial and capital fields between China and Germany, between Europe and China. So this is a high point of our cooperation. I wish this conference a full success. Thank you very much indeed.
Many thanks, Mr. Wang, for your vision and for your good wishes. Of course, we all are interested in a success, not only of this conference, but on the future of our economic, financial, cultural relations. It's always the people who stand for it and who are earning and profiting or are suffering. And with all our help, I think we will have a bright future. Our keynote today is given by Dr. Eva Wimmer, Director General Financial Markets Policy in the Finance Ministry in Berlin, our German MOF, Ministry of Finance. She is the one who has to formulate policies and strategies of the ministry towards banks, financial markets, international aspects, even laundering. She is the one in the strategic seat. So we are welcoming Frau Dr. Wimmer. Before joining the ministry, she has worked in the Federal Financial Supervisory Authority, the BaFin, here in Frankfurt as well as in Bonn. And having earned a PhD of the University of Freiburg, this is the best we can offer in Germany for ordoliberalism, for a bright economic future. It is yours, Dr. Wimmer.
So thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Mr. Wang, for your speech, and thank you for welcoming me and for having me here at your conference. And first of all, I would like to thank the organizers for their extraordinary efforts to put together such an impressive conference program, which helps to foster exchange between politicians, academia, business, and regulators on core topics of the dialogue in financial matters between China and the European Union. In my introductory remarks, I would like to focus on three issues. First, the German Council presidency and its priorities in the area of financial markets to overcome the COVID crisis and to build stronger and more resilient European capital markets. Then the Chinese-German financial dialogue, that was a key development in Chinese-German relations and has substantially improved exchange and cooperation in the financial sector. And thirdly, the opportunities that the financial dialogue and recent developments in China, as well as in the European Union, offer to financial centers in both regions. In light of the current pandemic, the main goal of the German Council presidency is to overcome the COVID-19 crisis and Europe to emerge stronger, more just and more sustainable. Financial services will have to play a vital role for a swift and lasting recovery of the European Union, and we're happy as German presidency to contribute to this goal. For one, this requires a strong banking sector and a reliable access to the financial markets, both the basis for a more stable and competitive European economy, and this will encourage growth and the financing of our real economy. Therefore, strengthening our capital markets and the capital market union constitute the top priorities of the German presidency. With regard to the banking sector, our aim is to make progress in all elements, in particular, efficient framework for crisis management, the treatment of non-performing loans, and that we would like to enhance stable financial markets in the European Union. Advancing on capital markets union is equally important. We're now on the table have the one of the capital markets recovery package, and the aim is to improve the possibilities for enterprises, and in particular small and medium enterprises, to get financing from the markets and to have better access to markets. Two additional topics are at the core of our presidency. First, as digitization is gaining more and more importance, we will also pursue an ambitious digital agenda with the aim of creating a secure and resilient European digital financial market. And second, we will continue improving our fight against money laundering and terrorism financing in the European Union. Just last month, the European Commission published a digital finance package. It includes communications on digital finance and retail payment strategies, as well as proposals on crypto assets and digital operational resilience. It also promotes the European Union growing together and moving away from a fragmented landscape for digital banking business models, finding a response to questions of innovation on stablecoins, cryptocurrencies, and how to handle digital transformation in our financial system. This is at the core of our presidential agenda to bring forward this dossier. Concerning anti-money laundering, we have two main goals. Firstly, we will reduce the amount of national discretion by implementing more harmonized AML rules in the European Union. And second, based on a harmonized set of rules, we aim to establish a single authority that will unify the supervision of AML at the European level. Last but not least, sustainable finance is an important cross-cutting issue as well. In the face of the challenge posed by the climate change, our goal is to support an ambitious sustainable finance agenda that focuses on practical proposals for financial sector participants. With regard to the Chinese-European dialogue, we are really happy that this German and Chinese-European dialogue is on a very good way for European capital markets to flourish and for European businesses to succeed and to overcome the COVID pandemic